You might think that getting into the IT field is impossible without a computer science degree, but Tech Coach Ralph is here to prove you wrong. Get ready for some jaw-dropping revelations on how to break into this lucrative industry. Listen up, tech enthusiasts! Are you ready to break through into the IT field, but feel like you need a computer science degree to make it happen? Think again! Tech Coach Ralph has some exclusive, mind-blowing secrets to share with you. Get ready to be blown away by his jaw-dropping revelations on how to break into the tech industry without a computer science degree. So get your notepad ready, because Tech Coach Ralph is going to change your life forever. Buckle up, because you're about to embark on a journey to success in the IT field.
Ray, what do you want to do tonight?
The same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. We are in for another night of Q&As on my favorite night of the week, Tuesday nights. Why is Tuesday nights my favorite night of the week? Because I get to focus on you, not focus on the code. I get to talk to you guys, answer your questions, whether it may be questions that I sourced that are tech industry related, or whether they are in the chat. Anybody's welcome to leave me a comment, ask me a question, and I will address it and go from there. So you don't have to wait 20 minutes during the working sessions and then you have 5 minutes in the during the breaks. You get me all night for the next hour or so, where we address your pressing questions. So shout out to that. So let me get my agenda up. Let's see here. All right. First things first, I want to thank the latest subscribers. And with that being said, the latest subscribers helped us pass the 100 mark. So thank you to all the newest subscribers. And again, one more time.
I appreciate you.
So we have, get this one in there.
I appreciate you.
Thank you to Anu Khan. Appreciate you subscribing to the channel. I hope I am able to add great value into your life. So now I believe we're at 103, but while that's exciting, that's just a small marker in where we are going, because it's not necessarily about the count or nothing like that. It's about the journey. It's about the mission. It's about adding value into your life. I believe when you add value into other people's life, you in return will be rewarded greatly. So that is why I do what I do, and all the people who are behind the scenes do what they do as well. So shout out to all the subscribers and all the coming subscribers, because we are going to the moon and beyond. All right. So the next thing that we're going to cover is what is our show schedule? So we're going to start off with our live stream schedule, which is Sunday afternoons, software explorations, which reminds me, I need to find a new software to explore this Sunday. And then we have our Tuesday nights, Q&A sessions, my favorite night. Then we have Thursday nights, which is also software explorations, which tomorrow, or not tomorrow, but this coming Thursday, we will be continuing our quest, our journey, our trek through CodeCep.js to see if we can get the AI to work with our automation testing in JavaScript. Like I said last week, my first time doing automation in JavaScript using WebDriver.io. And then eventually we're going to take on Playwright and take on Cypress. So stick around for that. That is coming in the future. I don't have an exact time frame for that, but that will be coming. All right. So, like I said, Sunday afternoons, software explorations, Tuesday nights, tonight, Q&A session, and Thursday nights, software explorations. And I think I mentioned on Sunday that for the Thursday nights, I am going to be kind of changing it a little bit. It'll still be software explorations, but it's going to be more entry level based stuff to help the people who are looking to get into the tech industry and QA in particular for this series. All right, so that's our show, that's our live show schedule. Make sure that you are subscribed to the channel and you hit the notification bell so you can be notified every single time that I go live, because I want to see you here. All right. Now, our pre-recorded content is as follows. Mondays, we have candid conversations. Wednesdays, we have software explorations and guides. It's like more of a concept and overview. And then Fridays, we have the bug bite. So just want to add this about this yesterday's candid conversation. That one was probably I didn't know it was going to become that at the time, but that one was really, that one meant a lot to me, just because of what the things that I had to go through and learn and figure things out. I feel like all my life I've been figuring things out, and that is expressed in the candid conversation called Failing Forward, and how that is probably the greatest thing that we can do. Right. And just a little more insight about that. I've been listening to some of like those David Goggins compilations that they do. And he talks a lot about the failures that he had in his life and how he uses that for his fuel and his motivation. And when people told him that he couldn't do it because
They ain't believe in us.
but he believed in himself, and he used that as fuel. He used the people not believing in him as fuel. And that is the winning mindset, right? So if you have not done so yet, check out that candid conversation from yesterday called Failing Forward. All right, definitely check that out. All right, so that is our pre-recorded content. Once again, Mondays, candid conversations. Wednesdays, software explorations, concepts, and overviews. And Fridays, the bug bite. All shows release at 12 o'clock Eastern time. All right. And then throughout the week, we have shorts and additional content like the clips from the Q&A sessions. Make it in bite-sized pieces that are digestible, so that you don't have to sit through the whole live stream to get that content. I cut it up for you and I make it available. So you pick your poison however you want it. That's how you get it. All right. I'm your tech supplier. How about that? All right. So that is our pre-recorded content schedule. Now, last but not least, if you have not done so yet, please like the video, share the video with somebody who would find it useful. And if you have not done so as well, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you can know every single time that I go live and when I drop new content that will add value into your life. All right. So that is that. Now, I am going to transition a little bit to talk about something that I think will help everyone and anyone listening. All right. So I'm going to time box this because I don't want this to go on and on. So let's do that. And oh, look at that. That was up. So we're going to do 5 minutes. All right. I'm going to talk about this for no more than 5 minutes. Because if you want more insight on this, you got to hit me up. I'm not going to give you everything on this. All right. So here we go. What I want to talk about is, so this past week, right, I've been reviewing some resumes, all right, and I've been giving feedback on the resumes and stuff like that. Some of them not too bad. Some of them, they were, to be frank, terrible, right, and everything in between. Okay, so here's what I want to leave you guys with. Whoever sees this, right, and you're trying to get a job, whether you are seasoned or you are trying to get into the field, right? Your resume is your commercial. Okay? What do I mean by that? The same way you decide what restaurant you're going to go to, what grocery store you shop at, maybe what car you're going to buy, all of that, right? Your resume is your advertisement on what value you bring to whoever's looking at it and why they should choose you. Okay? So the question is, if you are hiring someone to do a job, like for a job, and they got, and you got their resume, let me state that, all right? You received, as the hiring person, your resume, but with somebody else's name on it. Would you give that resume the time of day? If the answer is no, then then why is your resume that way? Does that make sense? You need to think yourself as that. You are a business, you are a product. You might not like how that sounds, but that's what it is at the end of the day. You're a product, you're a commodity. Somebody is purchasing your time, they're purchasing your service. Your time is worth something, and that's why they pay you to do that job. However, if you do not properly market yourself, if you don't make yourself wanted, then why would they hire you? Why would they even want to talk to you if from what you're advertising yourself as, it's not if what you're advertising yourself at is not beneficial to them, or you don't show the benefit, you don't show the value that you bring to that person or that organization. For me, it's like the way that I approach my work is the same. Like everything to me is work, right? I treat it as work. I treat it as business. The relationships that I have, I treat that as business. What value? And when I say I treat it as business, right? It's not what I can get from the other person. It's what value that I can bring into their lives that makes them want to work with me and pay me for my services, right? The way that you will get ahead is if you look to add value into wherever you go, whatever you touch. And once you can add value, that will open many, many doors for you. We think just because we go to some software engineering or QA boot camp or something like that, that automatically guarantees us the opportunity to work for any particular organization. No. What are you doing to make yourself better? What are you doing to show the value that you bring? And before even meeting you, it starts with your resume. And the way that you present your resume is going to show what value you're going to bring to the organization. So if you can't articulate yourself on your resume, if you can't market yourself, if you can't show the value that you bring, then they're going to overlook you and pass you for somebody else who does show the value that they bring in their resume. So that's how much time I'm going to spend on that for right now. Maybe I'll discuss it again in the future. But restructure your thinking to say, all right, in everything that I'm doing, what value am I bringing to the person who's receiving it? All right, cool. That is that. All right, so we're about to get started. We do not have an icebreaker today because those are saved for our software explorations. We have quite a good amount of questions to get through tonight. And if there's anybody who posts in the chat, they will get precedence over this. So they're like the CSS tag that has the exclamation point important because whoever's in the chat, it's priority. All right. So that's that. Where are we now? Okay. So let's get to it. I'm debating if I want to add the questions to the screen. I'm gonna try it out one more time. I'm not crazy about it, to be honest with you. Let's see. We'll see. Let me give it a try. So let me get the question staged. And here. Okay. Let's make that a little bit smaller. The side a bit. All right, let's see how that works out. So let's get to it.
Another one.
All right. So this question says it's about, are automation engineers reviving old challenges and the need for traditional QA testing? All right. So let me read the whole thing. It's a bit long, so bear with me, as QA people, because we are so well in our documentation, we tend to sometimes be a little long-winded, but bear with me. All right. And let's put our time. Well, let me read it first and then I'll start the timer. So it says, so this reads, the evolving role of QA automation engineers increasingly adopting responsibilities akin to developers is prompting us to revisit issues initially addressed by QA testers. The crux of this The crux of this observation is the decreasing value and efficiency of automated tests. The concerns fueling this trend involve the following: inadequate test coverage. As automation engineers venture into development, they risk losing their user-oriented perspective intrinsic to QA testers. This shift can lead to overlooked or insufficiently tested use cases, negatively impacting the overall test coverage. Complex. All right. So that was the first one. All right. Complex test suites. The increased focus on coding can lead to over-engineered, convoluted test suites. This consumes significant resources and complicates the maintainability and clarity of the test suites. All right. Now the next one says lack of formal QA testing. A fundamental issue arising from this trend is the gradual erosion of formal QA testing. As automation engineers transition towards development roles, the systematic, meticulous approach of QA testing may be lost, negatively impacting the overall software quality. Now, oh my God, this is kind of long. Let's see how much more of this is there to go. Jesus Christ. All right. This is why they're not testing, because they're too busy writing stuff. Let me be nice. All right, so we continue on. Where did I leave off? Okay, so it says, absence of a QA mindset. The primary role of a QA tester is to adopt a skeptical mindset, aiming to identify and rectify faults before they reach the end user. However, as automation engineers immerse themselves more into development, there is a risk of diminishing this valuable perspective. All right. And then it says, could introducing a dedicated QA oversight role within automation engineering serve as a remedy to these escalating concerns? Suppose we integrate this role. In that case, it could ensure a more significant alignment of automation practices with our overarching quality objectives, curb the tendency towards overly complex test suites, emphasize the necessity of formal QA testing, and preserve the quintessential, oh, look at that, I said it correctly, quintessential QA mindset, but this seems redundant. But wait, there's more. Let's take a look. Let's take a step. But let's take it a step further. Should we consider making it a prerequisite for automation engineers to gain experience as manual testers for a certain period before transitioning? This exposure could further enhance their understanding of the QA process and its importance. As we observe continuous evolution in the role within QA, it's vital to stick to our primary objective of delivering efficient, high-quality software. But how can we best maintain these guiding principles that have propelled our industry forward? What do you think? Would these strategies effectively bridge the gap between the evolving role within QA? I look forward to hearing your thoughts on this matter. And my thoughts you shall hear. All right. Let's get that off the screen. So set our timer. That was a mouthful, and I am sorry to make you go through that. But if you are my friend and you rock with me, then that means you suffer with me too. So here we go. My initial thoughts on this is it's a lot of talk to try to save a position that for the most part is going extinct, especially in the United States. As you've seen on our live streams, where we're doing software explorations, and we take during our 5-minute breaks when we go and we look for jobs, especially for jobs in QA, right? And I search for manual tester, and I have it like anywhere in the United States, and I put entry level. The jobs that I'm getting are QA engineers with usually 3 to 5 years of experience. And this is when I search for entry level. All right. So you tell me, So now you want so I think the problem is that people do not understand, and maybe organizations as well don't understand the purpose of automation, the purpose of QA engineers. If you notice, I do not say automation engineers. I don't say QA automation engineers. I just call them QA engineers, right? Now, the level of a QA engineer that you are depends on your knowledge, right? How good you are with automating, but also how good you are with QA principles in general. See, I think when people say manual testing, they're talking about the overall QA, where you're doing like writing the test cases and you're doing reviewing the requirements, all that type of stuff, right? But when I hear manual testing, I hear of somebody who just executes test cases and they do it in a like repetitive way, right? So here's the problem. I don't think a lot of the people who are trying to die on the hill of manual testing understand, like they see it from a company perspective where the errors that automated tests catch are more valuable, in my opinion, in my 15-year expert opinion. The errors that automation tests catch are more valuable than a edge case particular scenario, maybe a UI based misalignment thing, right? The purpose of automation tests is to validate the functionality of an application. And the layer that you validated on, that can vary depending on what's available. Generally, we like to try to validate at the business logic layer, and we try to avoid the UI as much as possible. But there's still going to be UI tests, of course, because we still want to validate the UI. But let's say, for instance, a major defect would be when you go to the homepage of a site, it's a blank page, right? The automated tests will catch that, and with the way that software is going, so I'll put it like this: manual testing and no automation testing was valuable when we were using the waterfall software development process and the V model, right? But in Agile, it's almost impossible to do QA without automation testing because the release cycle is so frequent. In my company, this past Friday, I deployed two different applications, or not applications, but two different branches within like 2 hours of each other. So now, if we had to do regression tests on that, are you telling me that I need to run a bunch of manual tests to make sure none of the existing functionality failed? And then, like, that's impossible. And then what about on development branches, right? So the purpose of the automation tests are to catch, number one, catch like any major bugs that is causing the application not to work through the most critical flows, but also their regression tests to make sure that upon new releases, existing functionality does not break, and you should be adding the new functionality to the best, to as much as possible. To like as you're building, you're adding more automated tests. Now, asking about this dedicated QA role, I'll say, like that's what QA directors, that's what QA managers, senior managers, regular managers, whatever. That is the oversight to make sure that things are running smoothly, that and they're checking the metrics, they are, mentoring and all that type of stuff. But to add in a dedicated role to remind someone that of software testing principles, that is an overhead that I don't see companies taking on, and I wouldn't I want them to take it on either, right? Um, so yeah, like and now I'm going to address this part because focusing on the automation engineers, I do agree with you that to do to do QA automation, you should have strong foundations um in the principles of QA, the principles of software testing, right? But at the end of the day, the role that the QA or the automation engineers play in the company is entirely up to that company because maybe they are using their automation engineers or their software development engineers in test as those who make the make the automation test available or like to be like make things available for other Q engineers to be able to facilitate writing the automated test. I don't know, but like I said, it's entirely up to the company on the role that they would have their automation engineers play. I think it's essential for everyone who works in tech to have the to understand the foundations of software testing, right? But you know, so I think it's important, but I think to try to create some artificial role of what people should already be doing in the first place. And I think that it is up to a particular company to set the standard of how they want things to run with, like in the testing. So that's what I would say about it. It's it sounds like so the way that this question sounds is like someone is still hanging on to the past and trying to give quote unquote manual testing, um trying to hold on to that when the best type of QA is the hybrid QA that has a strong foundation in QA testing or in like the whole QA principles, manual testing, all of that stuff. Because for me, when I'm creating automated tests, I still need to go and test it manually to make sure that it's working right. You know, so that's what I would say. Like, it's time to evolve. It's time to grow. It's time to be an expert in QA practices and principles, but also be able to write amazing automated tests. And the better you are with writing automated tests, the less complexity it's going to have. It's going to be smooth. It's going to be efficient. And then you're going to start exploring more, and you're going to start doing a lot more stuff. So, like I said, I think it's overkill to do some type of dedicated role. Companies aren't going to go for it. They're not going to pay for it. And if a QA engineer or an automation engineer doesn't know testing principles, then they shouldn't be hired for the job. Simple as that. Level up, do what you got to do, and go from there. All right. So that's that. All right. Let's see what we have next. So let's get our next question. So this one says
Another one.
switching careers to junior QA. And it reads, wanting to switch careers to junior QA needs some advice. I need some guidance on how I can get into QA. After some research, I see a lot of different information that is a little chaotic. My first question would be, for a person who has no professional experience in the IT industry, what would be the resources to start studying? I saw some people mentioning the ISTQB. Shout out to Raj who just passed it. So I saw some people mentioning ISTQB in a positive way. Others say that it is useless. Others mention Udemy courses. Others talk against them, which just made me feel a little bit lost. I have basic knowledge, self-taught as a hobby of mine in PHP, JavaScript, MySQL, and HTML and CSS. You have very interesting hobbies, I must say. My main question is, from the experienced QAs, how would you approach beginning learning the basics and the core knowledge that would be enough to potentially get into a QA, a junior QA position if you had to start all over again? All right. All right. So let's get this off the screen. Now, to answer that question, okay, so here is my problem with a lot of people. How would I say this? You talk too much. Like the problem that I have is people they it's like question after question after question, talk. Just pick something and start it and do it. And then you're gonna get some insight. So for instance, let's say the ISTQB, right? It's like that's a test you gotta do a bunch of studying for, right? But a Udemy course, you can get it for 10 to 20 bucks, right? Pay for the course, like choose some basic QA course, right? That tells you what it is. Take that course and find out what you're getting yourself into, right? Okay, who cares what others talk about, like for a Udemy course? Take it yourself and find out what it really is. Like when I go on Udemy, I look at how many what's the rating? How many people have purchased the course? How many people have left feedback on the course? Is it above 4.0? Like I don't need somebody to tell me something good or bad about Udemy, right? For the cost, like are you not willing to invest in yourself? It's just a few dollars, right? But and that's the thing, like we like this question, right? It shouldn't have been guidance on how to get started. It's okay, I did some research and now you're just listing all the you haven't listed what you did, right? If you told me, oh, I have a question about this that I'm learning in the course, that's one thing, but it's like that's not research. People mentioning ISTQB in a positive way and some saying that it's useless. Some people mentioning Udemy courses, others talking against it. Give me a break. Like if you can self-teach yourself PHP, JavaScript, MySQL, and HTML, you can take a 5-hour long QA course on Udemy and at least know the foundations, right? This is laziness. Like, and that's a problem. Like I always say, I am allergic to lazy people. It doesn't matter who it is. Like I just start getting bumps and I start to like, shake and get the chills and I'm like, I gotta get out of here. Like it doesn't work for me. What are you talking about? Like it's I'm about to go on Udemy and check right now, but I'm not going to on this show, right? But go and take a course about QA and then ask questions about that. We talk so much and we never get started. Get started, right? So that's the first thing. That is my pet peeve with people who just talk and talk and talk. It's like, oh, I need to start this. Oh, I plan to start that. And then the same next year, it's like, yeah, I really got to start this. Me, if I have in my mind that I need to do something and I haven't done it yet, I'm not talking about it to almost anybody, because if it's something that was really important for me to do, it would have been started a long time ago. Oh, I don't have enough time to do it. There's 24 hours in a day. We all find time to do what's important to us. Oh, but I need 8 hours sleep. Well, maybe your sleep is more important than your success. That's what you're telling me. So get to work. get to work. All right? Get off your butt, sign up for a course. It doesn't even matter what course it is. Sign up for any course and do something. And then you're going to build upon that. Precepts upon precepts upon precepts. Get to work. All right? So, and I'll address this part of the question. Some people mentioning ISTQB in a positive way, others saying that it's useless. I'll say this, right? While I don't really care much for it, if you were to do it, that would show that you're actually doing something, right? And the other thing is that it depends on the industry you work for. Because let's say you're going for a job in the who works with the government, because the government doesn't really, they don't really know much about much. So they're going to say, okay, we want these requirements. Like you got to be this in Azure, and you need to have your QA, at least one QA have this ISTQB certification. We need Scrum Masters with the PMP and all this stuff, all these certifications, all these tests, that it doesn't really make a difference in your ability to do the job. Your ability to do the job is based on the work that you put in. Are you, like, if you're a software engineer, are you building a portfolio? Are you practicing your code? Are you putting in the work? If not, then there's not much that anybody can do with you. So do the work. All right. So that's that question. I'm gonna leave it as that. But like I said, allergic to laziness. All right. And we have a similar one that is right behind it. So I will put that up. And
Another one.
is learning QA hard? And they say, is learning to QA test, okay, so bad grammar, is learning QA testing hard or easy to learn? But people always put pressure that it's not easy. Well, my friend, sorry to say this, but to be with all due respect, QA is hard for you. Why is QA hard for you? Because you're asking instead of doing. Tell me, what have you done? Why does it matter if it's hard or easy? If it's something like, there's so many things that are hard that people learn to do because they want to do it. If you don't want to do it, then it's going to be hard. Right? So it all goes back to getting to work. That might be the theme for tonight. Get to work. QA has a lot of moving pieces, a lot of concepts, a lot of principles, a lot of strategies. To me, QA is also automating to make sure that things are working as they should be. So it's totally like, it's as hard as you make it. It's as easy as you make it. If you're driven and you're motivated, then it's going to be easy for you. It's going to be a breeze. But if you want it to be handed to you, if you want it to be given to you, then it's going to be difficult. It's going to take time. You're not going to be happy, and you're eventually going to quit, right? I don't know what pressure you're referring to that people are putting on you, but I mean, I don't know if it's the pressure of the deadlines, but that just means, how do you manage your time? How do you manage your interactions with the team? Are you setting the right expectations? I don't expect somebody to be able to know all of that just getting started, but over time, you're going to build it. You're going to learn from your mistakes. You're going to fail forward, right? And you're just going to go from there. So what I'm saying is that QA is neither hard nor easy. It is for the people who want to do it, right? And I could say working on this Docker stuff that I've been working on has been hard, but I've enjoyed every last bit of it because I'm pushing myself to the limits. And then once I get to that limit, I break through it and I keep going. And that is the mindset to me that a QA engineer should have. It's to keep crushing it, it's to keep killing it. All right. So is QA hard? No. Is QA easy? No. Is QA worth it? Abso-freaking-lutely. All right. So that's that question. All right. Let's see what's going on next. Get the question up. All right, let's do it.
Another one.
What are the factors to be considered to bring in QA practices into a new team? All right. Also, the twofer. Also, how to propose QA implementation for an existing project in banking finance space. All right, let's get to it. So, to getting QA into a new team, it depends. Like, I guess I would kind of have to know the situation a little bit better. But if you want to get QA into a new team, you need to set up the principles. You need to. It matters if you're going to be using Agile, which I think that 99% of the times you should be using the Agile model with Scrum or Kanban, and you should. You should have a team that would, and you should invest into making your engineers and your developers QA minded so that they can consider, like when they are writing their code, they can consider how this is going to be tested, is it testable, all of that good stuff. All right. So, and then like you just need to work on like your procedures. What's the size of the QA team? What is it going to what are they going to be testing? What's like where do you want your test? How do you want to store your test cases? Are you doing it through Excel? Are you doing it through Google Drive? Are you going to get a test case management system? All of those things go into deciding, like they go into deciding bringing QA practices into a new team, right? You like whatever QA practices that you do or you've done in the past or that you'd like to do, you bring those together into a proposal, and you present it to the team. It says also how to propose QA implementation for existing project in banking finance space. I don't know what you mean by QA implementation. Are you talking about automation? If you're talking about automation, then honestly, I would start automating before I propose it. I would start automating, and so I can do like a pilot to show the value that it brings to the company. And once I do that, God, set the timer. Once I do that, and I have something that I can show, I'll speak with the powers that be and say, okay, I would like to introduce automation. It's going to, and this is the benefit that it's going to bring to our organization. this is what it's going to cost us, because like manpower is time as well, is money as well. So and this is this is the benefits that it's going to bring, and so forth, right? That is that's like that's how I would propose implementing QA. Like you got, like I said earlier, in anything that you do, you need to show the value that it brings. So showing the whoever is in charge in the banking and finance space what QA automation, with the value that it would bring, and the value that's going to determine whether they would be for it or not. Especially in the banking industry, everything is about money. So you show that you're going to save money or make money, then you're good to go. And on that note, I will be right back. We are like halfway through our questions, so give me a second. We're back. All right, cool. Needed 1 second to check something. And let me see here. All right, so we are moving on. Let me get the next question ready. All right, put that up. Let's go.
Another one.
Requirements for being a QA software tester, or a software tester, or a QA tester. And we read, I do not have a software engineering related degree, and I am at the stage of a career change. I want to try going into software testing, either manual or automated testing. I wonder what degree I should know of programming, which tools or programming languages I should focus on, and how important it is to have a degree to get a job in the field. Any information is appreciated. All right. So let's get this off the screen. So I feel like I'm starting to see a trend in tonight's questions is what do I need to do to get into the field? But this question is actually good because this is more of a research question, and it's better than like, oh, because then in that other question, what you're doing is you're just doing that's technically more quote unquote research, and it's technically more research, and that's what like, and then you're going to be more confused instead of just like doing something. But for this question, right? It's so difficult. Like, I don't know if people understand how hard it is to pivot careers and then get into a field when you don't have any type of experience in it, especially because a lot of times jobs like this, like entry level jobs, they're kind of reserved for college graduates, and then that's how they build their way into a career and stuff like that. Now, you don't have a software engineering related degree, okay, and you want to either do manual testing or automated testing. So here's the thing, because I've met quite a few people with this, right? And I think that it doesn't take much to actually learn how to do QA. Like you could like definitely could do a couple of Udemy classes and you'll be good to go. Some people go through boot camps and they know like some things about QA. It's like, but here's the problem, right? The jobs they have the requirements of like computer science degrees, which I don't necessarily know if you need that for do a QA role, automation or manual, right? But here's the problem. When you are trying to pivot into another industry, it is so hard to just go like to let's say you go take a boot camp, right? And now you're going to just go and apply for a job because you took a boot camp. That is so difficult. Here's my suggestion on how you can get into a QA role or software engineering role, whatever the role might be, and you didn't like go to school for it, and you didn't like you know how to do it, you did a boot camp or whatever, but it's going to be because now when you're applying for these jobs, and like we mentioned about the resume earlier, what makes your resume look better than the other person's resume who might have went like even if you're more qualified, but they might check the boxes a little more than you do, right? So here's what I would do, right? Here's my hot take. It'll take you some time to get this done, but transition by going the long route. What do I mean by the long route? So you would go into like maybe a tech support role or some type of support role in the company while you're learning while you're learning whatever it is you're learning, whether software engineering or full stack development or QA, whatever the case may be. Maybe it could be cybersecurity, right? But you get into a tech company, not any random old company. You get into a tech company, maybe as support or customer service or something like that, right? And now, as you're learning and you're able to collaborate with the people who do the work that you want to do, right? You get to be mentored, you get to learn, you get to and you actually have a job, you have your foot in the door at that company. So as they have openings for these positions, you can actually apply for them. And to me, without the requirements that are listed on a job posting, if you can get into the company somehow by by a job that you might be closer to meeting those requirements, then you can network and continue to learn and communicate effectively, because now they know you, they have an invested interest in you. They want you to stay with the company, because believe it or not, companies do not like losing employees, because the employees know the system, they know how things work. So like companies losing value, like good employees, hurts them. But if they're able to promote them to keep them within the company, that helps the company, and that shows that you're adding value to the company as well. So what I would say is try to get into, like, continue to study, learn automation, learn the principles of QA. I think I'm gonna start calling manual testing now the principles of QA, because it's not manual testing, it's the principles of QA. Learn the principles of QA and get into that company however you can, wherever you can, right? Let's say you don't have many skills and you start off as a receptionist. Maybe you start off as somebody in HR, whatever your degree might be in. See if it's like, find a tech company who has a need for that, or a role that you can get into that company that will use whatever it is that you have. And now you can start networking from within. It's like the Trojan horse, right? Network from within, show your value, show your worth, and then you have a better chance, because you know the people, of getting that particular role. It might take a little longer, or maybe it doesn't, because maybe you can never land the job without any type of experience and any type of education, right? So, with that being said, try to get into the company however you can. I'll give you an example. The company that I work for, many people, they started off in support, and then they take off. They're like in QA now. They are in like Scrum Master roles. They can become engineers, whatever. And the thing is, they are super valuable because they know all the ins and outs of how the company works. So now, if they take that knowledge that they have and they apply it to the work that they're doing, because they were in support, they have that customer centric mindset. So that is a way to get into it. I'll give you a quick example with me. When I was like, when I started off, I was working as a tech support position, and then they were bringing some web development thing in house, and I was, because of my work ethic and everything like that, I was the pilot. I was the first web developer to work on that team and lead that team, and because I had that position and that role, that was able to help me land my first QA job and take off from there, right? So if you're trying to get in with no education and no experience, I would say you might have to go the long route, but at the end of the day, it'll be definitely worth it, right? It's about the journey. So take that to heart, all right? Let me get our next question ready. All right, so let's go to our next one.
Another one.
Nightly runs or before every code change. And that's for running CI CD tests, continuous integration tests, right? So it says, the company I've worked for, actually, let me do this. I will read it again. So that way, when we clip it up, it will make sense. All right, let's do that.
Another one.
Running CI tests nightly or before every code change. All right. So it says the companies I worked for have all relied heavily on CI pipelines that block developers from merging code until all tests pass. Recently, a friend of mine was telling me about how his last company removed the slower functional end-to-end tests from the developer workflow and started running them nightly instead. The results seemed to be that tests were constantly breaking due to untested code being merged, and the QA lead ended up spending most of their time dealing with the failures from the night before. I'm curious, has anyone else experienced companies moving tests from the dev workflow to a nightly schedule or the opposite? How did that work out? All right. It's a good question. I like it. So let me get this off the screen. And to answer your question, I would say it's a mixture. I think so. The first thing I would say is it depends on how you're depends on what you're testing on your UI test. Maybe like it's possible that you have too many UI tests. I don't know. I would have to see it to say, but you might be doing too much. Now, as far as the nightly runs and the or the per build, I would say that a mixture of both is important. So, for instance, actually, I think you're right with what you're asking, because if because if you merge the code first and then things break, then that's going to put broken tests inside of your main branch, which you don't want that to happen. I think it goes down to your. I think it breaks down to what you're actually automating. Is there anything in those automation tests that can be removed from the UI and put more on an API based test, right? To be, because if it's taking a long time, and then from there, the tests that are failing at that point, I would investigate to see what's causing it to break, how to better handle that. But I would like to run the automated tests on each build because it puts more accuracy on the test. Also, though, you also want to make sure you're running the right type of test, because it's not necessary that every single automated test runs when you make a particular change. You know, you have to be strategic. You have to be smart about the changes that you're running your automated test on. Make it that you can pick and choose what tests run. Make it dynamic. Let me see. But yeah, like I'm more of a fan. I'm definitely a fan. And I advocate for running it on. Not only that you run it on the branch, the dev branch that you're working off of. After you merge it into, you run the automated test over there as well to make sure that that merge didn't cause any effects like after the merge. Because like when you're running it on a branch, it can be it could be working perfectly fine, but then you might have some type of conflict when you merge it and it causes it not to work. So I like to run it on both. So that's my thoughts on that one. Because where I work, we do it. We run the test after, like, upon building to make sure that the tests still work on that branch, because we don't want to merge and deploy anything that's broken. So the tests run and they pass, and then we also have nightly runs for like bigger suites of automated tests. So that's how I would say that. But anything that anything that changes, we should get it into the anything that changes, we should get that automated, and we should get that merged as well as part of that branch that's being worked on. So as well as adding new tests, new tests should be added as part of that branch as well. Okay, so that is that. All right, we are going to make this our last question of the night, because the one I was going to go into, it is way too long, especially after we had that first one. That will be our first one for next Tuesday night. And I will do this one, which is not too bad. So let's go from there. And
Another one.
does anyone else feel like they don't really know what they are doing a lot? And it reads, I do manual testing for a healthcare company, mostly checking file changes and SQL stuff. I have very little oversight, and I feel like I literally never know if I am doing things correctly or not. Sometimes I finish a story and then realize that I only tested for a fraction of the criteria, and I don't know. Just not sure if anyone relates. Any advice on how to improve? So let's get that off the screen. So I think if you feel like you don't know what you're doing is because you're not properly communicating. I know you say you don't have a lot of oversight, but where are you getting the work that you need to do from? You should be talking to those people to see what is it that you need to be doing. Like you say you're working on stories, so it sounds like you're working in some Scrum type environment or maybe a Kanban type way. And you should be having meetings, you should be having stand-ups, and you should be able to ask like whatever you're unsure of on how that's supposed to work and something like that. You are putting your company in great danger by not communicating and not asking. Communication is an essential part of QA. Raising the red flag is an essential part of QA. If you do not know what you're doing, then you should be asking to get more clarification, more understanding on what you are doing and what you should be doing. Does your stories have acceptance criteria? It sounds like it does. But if it has acceptance criteria, how are you only testing a fraction of it, right? I think that it kind of sounds like an excuse, to be honest with you. And I think you need to communicate better with your engineers, with your Scrum Master, with your product owner on the scope of the ticket, what's being included. If you do not have it already, have clearly laid out acceptance criteria. That is very important. You can have it listed as a bullet point or something like that, but you need to be able to have a checklist of what you're validating is working, right? Especially in the healthcare field. Like if you have issues in the healthcare field, like you put like a lot of people in grave danger. So you want to make sure that you're doing QA right in that industry. So ask questions. Work with the people who are work with other QA people who may know more than you, and work with your engineers, work with your scrum master, work with your product owner. Find out more details, find out what you're doing wrong, what you're doing right, what you need to work on, what you need to adjust, right? And then that will give you more confidence. I like, if I ever feel like I don't know what I'm doing, it's because I'm not communicating. And when I feel like I don't know what I'm doing, it's because I'm like probably exploring something, trying to learn something new, right? And but within like the team aspect, working on a particular story, I know what I'm doing and I know the resources that I have. So like, if I have a story to test, right, and I don't really understand the story that well, then I'm gonna go to the developers and ask them like, hey, can you help me with this particular problem? And then they're gonna be more than willing to show me, because if they don't, then that means they have to wait for their products to actually get released, and they don't like to wait. They want their stories done. They want to move on. So that means that they're going to help you, but you need to ask. You need to talk. You need to show initiative. You need, get things done. I think we're finishing on that. Get it done. Right? You don't know if you're doing things correctly because you don't ask anybody. Just because you have little oversight, I don't know like how that dynamic works, but you're getting the work from somebody, right? So whoever's developing and implementing the work, talk to them to find out what's going on and what you can do to do it right, not to miss important criteria, right? Not to only test a fraction of it. No, we need to speak. We need to communicate. We need to get it right. Okay. Especially in the healthcare field, because people's lives are in our hands. So, no, I haven't felt like I don't really know what I'm doing. I always, for the most part, know what I'm doing, even if it's like researching on how to do something. Right? I might not know how to do that particular thing, but I know how to get to where I want to get to. So that's my perspective on it. That's how I see it. So hopefully that helps. And my friends, that is our show for tonight. All right. Let's get that off the screen. We don't need it anymore. So I hope you enjoyed our questions. Next time, hopefully we can get some questions in the chat because I can interact with you so I can get some more energy.
Please offer me your energy. I ask of you, please.
But it is what it is, right? So I think tonight was a great show. On our way out, if you have not done so yet, if you are waiting to see if I add value into your life, hopefully I was able to. So if I did, and if I didn't, I wouldn't mind you doing it as well. But if I did, hit the like button, share the video to anyone that you would find it useful, or share it to yourself so you can watch it again tomorrow and the day after because you found it so valuable and entertaining. And then leave me a comment. If you have anything you want to talk about, leave me a comment. Anybody wants to do some resume reviews, stuff like that, interview prep, email me, ralph@techcoachingwithralph.com, and we can be in communication and I can be there to help you grow into your career as an IT professional. All right. So that's that. And last but not least, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you can know every time that moi, Tech Coach Ralph goes live. You'll be notified so I can continue to add tons and tons of value into your lives. All right. So that is that. And is there anything else? I think that's it. Tune in tomorrow for the software explorations at 12 p.m. noon Eastern time. So you can get some more amazing software information, QA based information. So, on that note, I think we are done for tonight. Great show, great stream, but I must depart from thee. So, on that note, my friends,
You might think that getting into the IT field is impossible without a computer science degree, but Tech Coach Ralph is here to prove you wrong. Get ready for some jaw-dropping revelations on how to break into this lucrative industry. Listen up, tech enthusiasts! Are you ready to break through into the IT field, but feel like you need a computer science degree to make it happen? Think again! Tech Coach Ralph has some exclusive, mind-blowing secrets to share with you. Get ready to be blown away by his jaw-dropping revelations on how to break into the tech industry without a computer science degree. So get your notepad ready, because Tech Coach Ralph is going to change your life forever. Buckle up, because you're about to embark on a journey to success in the IT field.